you live from the suburbs. It's the 10-Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and I was frozen today. With me this week, a couple of leeches who make a living off the blood of others. First, I think I'm going to hate this guy. It's Chris.
And be one of the bounty hunters who don't speak.
Right.
I see.
So Andy needs to do an impression of the other one. Boy, when this guy shovels it, he uses both hands. It's Andy. Okay, I'll just one hand.
It's a choke slam.
It's hard to find quippy lines in this one, so both of those were from the Japanese guy. That was literally the two things he said with those two things. We are the 10-Point Podcast. We deliver podcasts to you on a weekly basis, sometimes twice a week, regularly twice a week. You can find us 10pointpodcast.com and everywhere that you get podcasts. You can watch video versions on Spotify, because it does that fancy thing where you can see it when you listen to it, and at YouTube, the 10-Point Broadcast, which I've been saying for weeks now, but I've never actually got around to why I've started calling it 10-Point Broadcast. But that'll come eventually, and I had a plan to do that, and it's just come up in my head that I might continue on with that plan. Yes, 10-Point Podcast. Google 10-Point Podcast. You will find us. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Twitter's going to go out of business soon, so I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Yeah, it's luckily we didn't do that.
Nobody uses Facebook either. So
we've never started OnlyFans, but we should have to soon.
Eventually we'll be on Mastodon, and what was the other? There's another new one that's meant to be
Pterodactyl. See with the tiger.
Yeah. This random use. People keep saying, "Oh, this is the new one everyone's going to use," and everyone's still just on Twitter and all that. So, and we never got an Instagram. That's an old classic. We don't have an Instagram because we're a podcast. Just Google 10-Point Podcast. You'll find us. Check out the news. It was a special one. I'll leave it there. It's on the same feed as this, so go back an episode and you'll find it.
Chris was very un-PC.
I'm going to say trigger warning. If you remember the old 0.7 trigger warning, this news is basically Andy's trigger warning.
I'm not well.
Yes.
I'm mentally not well. I've got
becomes a savage with himself.
He's in a bad place. Okay. On to point one on the 10-Point Podcast. What is the point? The point is the 1991 sci-fi action comedy Suburban Commando, brought to us by New Line Cinema, which I was like, I really like their little title thing. It makes me think it's going to be a good, fun film I'm watching here. Thinking, I don't think we've done them before. We have done them before. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, City Slickers, just the first one, not the second one. Mortal Kombat, 7, the Blade Trilogy, Fracture, Semi-Pro, and Vacation were all New Line Cinemas. So
you're in for a good time.
Yeah. There's a good mixture there as well. Everything from mainly kind of comedy, but a bit of other bits and bobs in there as well. What's the film called? Suburban Commando. That's what we watched. Written by Frank Capello, famous for writing, and I say famous for, The Ivory Tower, which was a short film, and the only thing he wrote before Suburban Commando. Afterwards, he wrote Constantine, the 2005 Keanu Reeves version. That is.
Get a sequel.
Yep. Oh, so it is, yeah. And then two other things, like He Was a Quiet Man and Steel Wool, he's famous for. I've never heard of them. So basically, Suburban Commando, and then 14 years later, Constantine, and then in there, nothing else. So Frank Capello.
So he bases himself. This is a man that knows what he's doing.
Correct.
The next 14 years have been absolute banger.
Yeah.
Oh no, maybe had one in 2019.
Maybe he did.
Yeah, but Constantine too. He's been pacing himself for that one, getting the script just right.
And then the film directed by Burt Kennedy. An interesting choice for director for Suburban Commando, as it was the last feature he ever directed. He only directed one thing after this, and it was not a feature film. But up until this, most famous for directing westerns in the 1960s. The best examples, The War Wagon and The Train Robbers. And then in the 70s and 80s, other kind of cowboy western style things, and a film called The Trouble with Spies. But Suburban Commando is a massive outlier. Like, it's not like anything else he ever directed, and came much later than most of what he directed, old Burt Kennedy. So they're the people behind the film. Who was in the film, I hear you asking? Starring as the brilliantly named Shep Ramsey. Well, that's a name. That's an action movie hero name. We have Hulk Hogan, more commonly known as, well, less commonly known as Terry Bollea, but it's Terry Bollea as Hulk Hogan as Shep Ramsey in this film. Hulk Hogan, most famous for being in Rocky 3 and then becoming the biggest name in pro wrestling, which is not the order I thought it came in. I thought he was big wrestling superstar, so they put him in Rocky. It was actually the other way around. Yeah. He was in Rocky, and then he was a wrestler, but a small-time wrestler who looked like a star. They cast him in the movie, and that went like rocket. Like, he was now the biggest star in all professional wrestling. for about 25 years. He was that. Then he was in what? During that time, he was in No Holds Barred, a wrestling-themed movie.
Absolute banger.
Then, next biggest film he was in was Gremlins 2, which off the back of Gremlins.
I can't remember that at all.
Oh, it's a good bit.
Yep.
But
Best bit of film.
we will do Gremlins 2 in the next 12 months, so let's not get too bogged down in that. Then he was in Suburban Commando, and then Mr. Nanny, Thunder in Paradise, and Santa with Muscles. And that's kind of where his movie career sort of ended, was with those very unsuccessful films in the 90s. He kind of appears as himself in things. He had a TV show as himself, and he wrestled until like the mid-2000s, and probably longer if you want to call that wrestling. But yeah, Hulk Hogan, famous face. And famous racist as well. Proven in court, I believe. So, co-starring with Hulk Hogan.
How come you could call them out when it's been proven? I can't call them out before it's not proven.
That's kind of how it works, unfortunately. As Charlie, co-starring with the Hulkster, Christopher Lloyd. Famous for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the Taxi television show. Most famous for the Back to the Future trilogy. He was in Clue, which was the American Cluedo film that came out. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, The Addams Family, continuing our Wednesday Addams stuff, and its sequel, and then Angels in the Outfield, and then basically ever since like then, he's just appeared as Doc Brown and things, and popped up here, there, and doing bits and bobs, and just kind of lived on being Doc Brown and Christopher Lloyd.
And loves marijuana.
Does he? Right. Is that proven in court?
That's proven in court.
That's proven in court. Right. Okay. And that's it. They were the only two names to come up before the title of the film, but Shelley Duvall would be next, and we did her a few weeks ago. So we can leave that be. On a budget of $11 million, I had to properly search to find that number. It was not easy to come by. Suburban Commando opened in the US with $2 million on its first weekend. Final US gross, $7 million. Worldwide, I don't think it got a worldwide release because I can't find any numbers. Meaning it probably lost $4 million out of 11. Not successful for Hulk Hogan here. At basically the height of his fame. I think this would come out roundabout when he was losing to the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6, give or take. So pretty much proper Hulk Hogan mania time. Released 4th of October 1991. Didn't come out till the 20th of December 1991 in the UK, so a Christmas film. Awards, though, for 1992, since they came out late in the year. The so-called major awards shut out Suburban Commando completely, including the Razzies and all the kind of crappy ones. So it's neither good, neither bad. And the 1992 Saturn Awards also did not acknowledge this in any of its action sci-fi categories.
This is prime Saturn Award winning.
You would think so, but not yet. Not one award in history did anything with Suburban Commando that I could find. I had to look around. Not one award, either good nor bad or any way around. A synopsis for Suburban Commando. Our usual contributors seem to have stayed away from this one, so I've got a synopsis.
Disaster.
I know, by John has provided a synopsis. Shep Ramsey is an interstellar hero, righting wrongs, etc.
That's it. Done.
Long list of stuff he was doing there. His ship is damaged after a fight with an interstellar nasty, and he must hide out on Earth until it can recharge. He leaves his power suit at home, but still finds himself unable to allow wrongs to go unrighted, so he mixes it up with bad drivers, offensive paperboys, muggers, and the like. Then the family, with which he's staying, finds his power suit, and the father tries it on. I hope it means the power suit, because I watched a different film if it doesn't mean that. And that's
with that face, dude.
He's riding you.
So yeah, that's basically kind of what happens in the film. Doesn't really go into much detail. Who picked Andy? You picked it. Why did you pick it?
Well, because I had a free pick. I knew you were all thinking I was going to pick something else, and I went left wing and went this purely because I was going to.
Left wing. I don't even mean left wing.
You know what I mean? Right wing, left field.
Left field, yes.
That's the one. So decided to go for this because it got mentioned before, and I was like, that film is a banger from what I remember. So I'm picking it, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it fits my theme, and then luckily it does perfectly, so we're all good.
Had you seen it before? I'm assuming you've seen it before. When do you think you saw it, if you'd seen it before?
Oh, I think the last time I seen this was probably when I was like 8. See, I actually remember the game more than this.
Right.
I remember the NES game, Suburban Commando, which is basically if Chris just moves a little bit, that's the load screen where it's hit that face where it just says Suburban Commando, press start.
Right. Okay.
but it's all like Hulk Hogan pixels.
Like 18-bit or something like that.
But the game's an absolute banger. It's like it's kind of like Asteroids. You start off, you got to like fly your little ship, and then it's like a side scrolling, just shooting all the bad guys.
Right.
Absolutely brilliant.
Had you seen it before, Chris?
I had, yeah, but like when I was 15, 16, that was ages ago.
I had heard the title, and that's where my knowledge of this film had ended.
It'll come up later on, but I got well and truly Mandela effect in this film.
Right, yeah, cool. Which channel would you find it on? I would propose none.
I would say back in the day, this is like an old school BBC.
I don't know. I feel like it's going to be ITV.
Right, okay. Again, well, no. And which version did we watch? Only has one version, so we all watched the same one. It did seem like some of the editing was a bit off. Chris normally picks up on this stuff as well, but to me, it was like 2 scenes early on felt like they'd just been stuck in and they weren't as HD as the other ones. Like it felt like it was they'd added extra scenes in, but I could find no evidence of there being any special edition.
Was that in the spaceship with the General Sutter talking
yeah,
to?
there's one bit,
that one.
Yeah, and there's one bit early on in the suburb it happened as well. It felt like it, but yeah, only one version. So we also, I would hope, the exact same bits and things. On to point 2 then. I feel like something's missing there, but that's usually what we cover. Point 2 is the high point. So it's not the best bits and things were of the film. Andy, why don't you start us off with the high points?
Right, I'll skip over the little bit at the start, but as soon as Hulk Hogan comes in, like before you see this muscly suit coming in and then action's kicking off, I'm like, this is going to be a good film.
Proper cheese fest, though.
Like, absolutely amazing. That's just like, it's every classic action film, sci-fi, all rolled in about 3 seconds. Like, I was sold straight away.
On the subject of this scene, I won't go too far into depth at the moment, hint, I reserved judgment because I didn't want to be like, what is this? This is this. For it to be like a parody and to be like, it's a TV show someone's watching. But then that reveal never came. I was like, oh, this is the film. Okay. And that's all I'll say at the moment on that scene.
But yeah, that costume that Hulk Hogan's got, that's where the budget went, and it's well worth every penny. Absolute banger of a costume.
Okay. Any other early high points from yourself or from Chris?
I'm kind of trying to think, actually.
Okay, Chris, Andy, high points.
Well, like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm struggling.
Well, it's not really a high point, but where was Shelley Duvall's killer instinct during The Shining? She grabs her husband by the throat and is just like,
yeah,
What is that?
yeah, straight into it. Yeah.
To be fair, that is my next high point, is actually the family. So, like, how quick you actually like that family.
Yeah.
It's like Christopher Lloyd, Shelley Duvall. It's just like, all right, this is a nice, actual little suburban family. I like what they're doing. Everything's like he's having a shit time at work. His boss is like, all that story all works perfectly for this.
It's so nice to see Christopher Lloyd not playing a crazy person.
Yeah,
mostly.
Normal guy, yeah. I've got Charlie, which is Christopher Lloyd's character. I've got Charlie, the blueprint raise scene, where he goes in with his blueprints to ask for a raise and ends up giving over the blueprints, essentially getting the tour of the office and then forced at the door before he can even speak. I thought it was a really, really good scene. I've got the actor that played the boss.
Oh, it's something Miller, isn't it?
Over here.
Yeah, he's
Larry Miller.
well, isn't he?
Larry Miller is one of those people like, I've seen him a million times before. If you look
He
at
plays
what
the
he's
same
in,
character as well.
Yeah,
It's always just
yeah.
a snooty
he's only in about
boss.
3 or 4 things I've seen, but he just must stand out in the role he's in and all these things. But yeah, Larry Miller as I guess Mr. Belts in that scene is really good. Basically, just taking over and stopping Christopher Lloyd getting a word in edgeways. And it's also good when you think about the end of the film when he mentioned the crystals. I was like, oh, I was there before they got to it in the film. I was like, that's well seeded that they put that in there because I love the crystals. So yeah, I give that scene a thumbs up. The blueprint and Christopher Lloyd asking for a scene. But you're right. Neither of his kids are nominated for most annoying kids. They are normal American average kids. They were like, so.
Okay, my next one is when Shep finally lands on Earth and is doing his little bunch of good deeds as he's walking past.
My favourite is Ralph the dog.
Yeah.
Finds the dog in the car and finds his owner being like a miserable bastard eating his dinner. I just loved that it cuts and all of a sudden the dog is eating the dinner and then you pan across and then you see Shep walking away and you're like, wait a minute.
With his clothes.
He's wearing that guy's clothes and the camera keeps going and he's naked. Like, oh, he is naked. But then he turns around and he's got the muzzle on that the dog had on. It's just a brilliant 3-step reveal of that stuff.
Also, it's like, how come nobody? Well, I know why nobody would fail, but you think somebody would interview, but it's like, oh, fucking hell, that's a big guy. I'm not going to bother.
And the other guy didn't seem small either because his clothes fit Hogan like quite baggy. So.
Yeah.
But yeah,
also it shows you how well ahead of the times is now, because like people are kicking off about dogs being left in cars. Like that wasn't a thing when I was growing up, but now it's a big thing again. So this was like 20, 30 years ahead of its schedule. Like,
ahead of
the
time.
time.
Yeah. Can't argue. It's kind of not long after, but it's more of Shep's good deeds. Him first moving into the apartment, and I guess it's the first morning, isn't it? Where he attacks the mailman and then attacks the paper boy, and then at the very end lobs the paper off screen, and you just get the paper boy going, ugh, getting knocked
That
on.
is the best acting he's ever done. He might be just playing himself, just like, oh, there you go, smart ass or something like. Or
Yeah.
take that smart ass. It's just like him being Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, him being Terry. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was very good. That was one of the more. I feel like most of my high points are the bits where it made me laugh, or are actually. I'm enjoying what's going on here. I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not actually looking to completely pan the film, but bits where I was like, oh, it was. I thought that was good, or I thought that was fun. I'll put it down as a high point. And
It was the couple of running gags that kept going, like him helping the mime.
The mime
mime
was
up.
that's my high
Punching through
point.
the thingamabie.
The
then-
first one, the force field punching, it was just
That was it. That was a high point for me at that point. I was thinking, oh, that was brilliant, that scene with the mime. I didn't realize it was going to come back twice more.
And then it was the little girl saying, "Oh, my cat, my cat." So he brings the chair in. That's not my cat, and this cat just goes shoot across the screen.
In your research for the universe, did you find out the girl?
I did.
Because we've not done her before, but I thought
No.
it was belter of a casting that is going to be my Danny John Jules.
Yeah, mine too.
Right, well, we'll leave it there. We'll come back and do a Danny John Jules about the cat girl. Any other high points?
Chris is struggling. I'll go
It
next.
sounds like it.
It's actually when Christopher Lloyd gets the suit, because it's pretty much how I'd always like imagine that. Because you always see people that get the suit and they know exactly how everything works.
Yeah.
Whereas like he kind of puts it on, he kind of seems like he knows everything works, but he doesn't at the same time. And then it seems like the suit's got a mind of his own, where it just like jetpack and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yes, that's a wigging out at one point.
yeah, but it's exactly how I think most people would be like, ah, look at this, I'm immortal. And it's just like when the guys bring out the guns, he's like, oh, no, don't shoot.
Yes.
It's
I
like,
never
just
said, if you're going to shoot somebody, why shoot them in the armor? Shoot
and
them
the
in
only
face.
bit of armor, yeah. Always go for the head. If Warzone's taught me anything, always go for the head.
And was it Avengers Infinity War?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just a little bit I liked. It's just like, all right, that's perfect. And then he just comes in, and then the bad guys like counteract it by just pulling their guns. It's like, whoa, shit. I actually like that, because normally it'd be a knife fight, and then you just destroy them. But yeah, it wasn't. Which I quite liked.
Talking the film being ahead of its time, part of the joke is that it's on time, but the neighbours threatening to sue the big
Aye.
tough guys.
Oh yeah.
It's
Those
the
guys, yeah.
90s. We're gonna sue. I was like, oh god, I was in the 90s, even 1991. That was
Yeah,
a joke.
suing
that
everybody.
It's the modern times, but yeah, it's absolutely what happened nowadays. But also, that is like noisy neighbours is a pain in the arse, but just being utter like arseholes and parking on the drive and all that stuff, that would just be absolutely infuriating, having like noisy neighbours like that. Also, which reminds me, I forgot to mention this or write it down. Is this film set? Like, wait, guys, it's it's set in present day 1990s, whichever part of America it's in.
Yeah.
What were those cars like? Just easy to come by in 1991? Did everyone have like wacky races style
Yeah, it
cars?
must have. You
Oh,
gotta
it must
remember
be
what
like draggers or something.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
American Graffiti had fancy cars, and that it was like the '60s, so everybody's
Well,
had
like-
fancy cars.
But like Peter Perfect's Perfect Mobile from Wacky Races with gigantic wheels and a pointy bit in the front. Like, they all had these bizarre like. But okay, drag racing cars. Why did they drive them to their pal's house? Like, is that how they're all there and not always all there? Like, it was. I felt like it was like meant to be in the future, but then he said it was the 1990s. But yeah, the strange cars they had was just bizarre.
I think that's just America. We just don't understand America.
I don't. Since Chris is very light on the high
Well,
points.
the next
I'm
one,
kind of
I
running
do
out
have
too,
one.
to be fair.
It's the first entrance of the bounty hunters behind Bruce at the bank. Well, that kind of whole bank thing.
Yeah, that was quite good.
Just walk in with the weapon that they lost.
On that scene, Christmas movie confirmed because Jingle Bells
Yep.
was playing. So
That's
and
a
it came out in
banger.
December, so that Suburban Commando Christmas movie because
I know that's a bonus part to my theme, because I did say I was going to pick a Christmas pick, and this wasn't Christmas until that
Right.
point. I was like, yes.
So carry on, Chris. I interrupted.
Yeah, it's just I will say that them moving as they're frozen in like flubber or whatever powder was a bit shit, but just the bounty hunters just bursting through the wall and just spraying bullets everywhere. Just shooting first, asking questions later.
The Undertaker does play a good bounty hunter, though.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad that Andy had said the Undertaker was in this, because that would have been an absolute nailed-on gold medal winner for me. I had no idea he was in this.
That's
so.
one of the things that I've always remembered. But I was years afterwards, I'd watched Suburban Commando. Then
Well,
watched
the thing was, I always remember that picture that you've got behind you of the Undertaker, and I never I was like, what the fuck is that from? It's like I've never seen this film before, and I always go, oh yeah, it's that film again, because I always forget he's in it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you've seen the fun fact where Vince McMahon forced him to take this movie role.
Oh really?
So basically, this was right before the Undertaker was even in the WWE.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
But Vince was already like looking at him as like, right, you're going to go up against Hulk Hogan when you come in. So you go in the film, it'll be really good for you, and you'll become the next big thing, because Vince was going to make him the next big thing anyway. So I told him to take this movie role before he was even in WWE.
Oh, I see.
Or back in the day, WWF.
WWF back then, yeah. Following on from the bank, Frozen Charlie is my next high point. Him being Weekend at Bernie's in the car, where he's like having to be out the roof and falling over and all that. I quite enjoyed Hogan in that scene. His acting was quite good as well, but having to thaw out Charlie and then his reaction afterwards, I was frozen today, and all that sort of stuff was I quite enjoyed it. But the whole Charlie getting frozen thing, I enjoyed that. So I'm down to my one final high point. So
I've got one high point which you guys will probably hate, so I'm going to go for it. Is the kind of big boss guy, whatever he's called, the
Suitor.
Yeah, when he's like getting electrocuted as he's like a monster, and it looks like he's just doing a weird dance move thing to the music. I was just like, this is so shit, but yet so brilliant at the same time. Because it literally just—I don't know if it was intentional, but he was literally dancing while getting electrocuted.
I think it was intentional, because when he first crash lands at that place, the music was playing, so I guess it's supposed to be like he was dancing. So my final high point comes before that. This is the battle against the bounty hunters.
Yeah.
I just enjoyed the Undertaker going up through all the floors. I forget if he's got a character name or whatever, but him,
Hutch,
him going up through, and I was like, how did they film that? Like, are they actually dragging him up through that much height, or are they just putting things over his head? Like, I was confused how they filmed it. And I quite enjoyed his death at the end, where he's like in the wall. But yeah, the kind of practical sort of set destruction involving poor Mark Calloway.
I did like a little twist of the Undertaker's voice, where they haven't spoken to the whole thing. And
it was so
I can't remember what he says. I was like, "You're gonna get it, Ramsey."
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. No, it was so badly dubbed, it didn't suit him at all. I was just like, that's just silly.
That's the one thing I always remember. This is his voice.
Yep.
No wonder you guys don't speak very much. Yeah, that's me. I'm out of high points.
Me too.
Okay. On to point 3, the low point. So I thought the worst bits and things were. I shall carry on where I left off before. Everything about the opening of this film is a low point for me, where they've used clip art explosions on the space battle, and then it cuts to this scene where it looks like they're just in, like, I don't know, an amateur dramatics sort of theater, and then everything looks like it's been freshly painted that day, and the acting, the really melodramatic acting, which is why I thought it was going to be fake, because they're all like, "Mwahaha, I am an evil baddie, and you could not stop my evil plans. Who will save you now?" And then here comes the hero with his like tinfoil and paper mache suit on.
It was
I don't
amazing
care what Andy says; it's absolutely horrific, and I'm glad he didn't wear it very much. And then just the sheer cheesiness of just the way everything proceeds from that point. Basically, that until the ship blows up was a low point for me, because of just how bad it was. I thought this was going to be
savage.
It's unpopular. People make fun of it, but it's the early 90s. It'll be all right. It was just bad, like bad stuff was happening until the ship blows up.
The extras in like the gunnery seats who can't act, who like get blown up and then instantly just sit back up to carry on shooting.
Did they all have long blonde ponytails? Or was that part of like the uniform, or was it their hair? I couldn't work out what their outfits were. But yeah, that low point starts on a low point. It's always a bad way to start things.
There's also Shep's lack of attempt to rescue the president. He's he gets grabbed by the throat. He's like, "Oh, you're done for. I'll see you later."
Yeah, I'll blow everything up.
The worst hero ever.
That's my starting low point. Anybody else got any low points?
I've got one. I don't get it when it's the traffic light scene.
Oh yeah, twice. What's my next one?
And it's a
Literally,
carbon
that was
copy.
the last thing I wrote down before we started recording. Was I don't quite understand what the traffic light bit.
I don't
is.
get it. I don't know what it is. I don't get why they're all ready to try it, like get to the next traffic light and then he reverses back. I don't understand any of it.
It's already passed. Just keep going.
The only thing I get is he's the kind of person that doesn't run a red light. And then he's still the kind of person that doesn't run a red light. And at the end of the film, he's now the kind of guy that runs a red light. Not only that, he'll blow it up. But I don't get it within the context of what everybody else is up to.
Yeah.
Like, why is everybody else all revving? And then why is he the only one to stop? Why does nobody else? And why do they all want to get through this red light? And why are they all happy that he's blown up this one red light? Yeah, I don't quite get it. Other than I get that. Oh yeah, he's not the kind of guy he is, than the kind of guy he becomes. But what a strange way to put it in the film. I just don't really get why. There we go. I'm glad we.
Mine's isn't really a low point. It's a question.
Mm.
Did Shep have like super strength without the armor, or was it only with the armor? Because he launched that fucking skateboard.
Yeah, it's because he'll have a different body mass because he'll be from a different planet.
Superman.
Yeah, but there's other times it looks like he barely picked somebody up.
I think it's an alien. I think he's extra strong. Personally.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's fine.
I think he's extra strong, and then he's like unkillable with the suit because obviously
Yeah.
it's got armor.
Okay, that
Weapon.
makes no sense.
But yeah, I think he's Superman, and then you put an Iron Man.
I kind of forgot he did weights with the fucking tools. Actually,
Yeah.
so
Which again looked fake. But,
yeah.
I'll harbour too much on that point. I've got a question as well. How the hell did How the hell did Jenny turn the shed into like a house in one day? Like he left for work, and it was his shed, and he came home from work, and it's a whole new house with wallpapers and carpet and beds, and like how the hell did she manage that?
Well, let's double down on that question. How the hell did Hulk Hogan find that place for rent by a sign just saying house for rent that way?
Yeah.
I kind of not played like in my head that he found more signs along the way, but we never seen that.
No, because he only turns up with the one sign going like.
You just have to rip the rest of them down. You just had to follow the signs.
Maybe.
Add that on to Jenny's prep times for the house as well, which is to change the whole shed into a house and then go out and put like a treasure hunt of maps of signs out to find the place. So yeah, impossible. But
also, it's proving once again that this film's way ahead of itself. Airbnb, way before its time.
Yeah. It's a common thing that if you do let out a room, that the person who lives in the room comes and has dinner with your family. Like I feel like it was a separate building. Like was it just a welcome to the place? Here's some dinner, or would he then basically live with the family from
this is probably why I've never ever in my life stayed in a bed and breakfast in case that happens, because I will literally I'll go to a chain hotel, I'll stay at your Hilton's, your Premier Inns, your Travel Lodges, but I will not stay at a B&B in case a creepy family want me to have dinner with them.
Yeah,
I'm out.
If I ever go to stay somewhere, it has to have like a minimum of like 8 rooms or 10 rooms in the place.
Yep. If I'm staying at a bed and breakfast, it's got 2 people and you got to share the toilet with the family, I'm out.
Yeah.
Not happening.
I agree. Low point. Far too many sketches. Like, I like the mime. We didn't need 3 of them. Why was there a scene where he squished a melon over an old lady? The cat scene was funny, but why? Why? The arcade. What was the point of the skateboard? It's just these bits. The film was like a sketch comedy show for about 15 minutes. With just these I'm just a commando walking around in the suburbs, just doing random stuff. And I'm like, is this what the film is? It's just like we've come up with these gags. We'll just put them in this film and string it together. There's just too many of them.
The first cat one really annoyed me because she was standing underneath the tree going, my cat, and he brings it down and goes, that's not my cat, and then he fucking lets go. Like, what was the point in saying that's my cat then?
Yes, exactly.
Because it looked exactly the same as the second cat.
Yeah, well, which I think it was not the same cat again. I couldn't work out if the punchline was attached to the same cat and it's not her cat. But yeah, either way, the sketches, some of them didn't land, and there was far too many of them. Like what was that? It's like 5 different character things that happened in the film that weren't anything to do with the film. It was bits. Any other low points? I've got a couple. Well, I've got one more because we've done the traffic lights.
I've got one. When what doesn't make sense to me is when they're trying to rush to get that freezing gun back, and Charles trying to open the car door. So Shep comes on, rips it off its hinges, and then goes round and opens the door from the other side and gets in.
Because that's a funny.
It is fun. It's quite funny.
Pointless though.
But also why? Yeah.
Oh, and he also just happens to have the scanner looking for it in the car. He's like, oh, I've got an idea. Let's just get this scanner that I've got.
Yeah.
Why not use it at the start?
My actual low point that's like not as bad as Chris's like illogical thing is if you crash land a ship into like an old bowling alley or discotheque, whatever the fuck it was, and then all the music kicks off, like, one, how quickly did they leave that building, leaving all the lights on and that music track playing? Just like, shit, we're leaving, disconnect everyone, just turn the power off. And then two, he quite clearly just leaves it and doesn't even lock it up.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, what was that film we did with the people in the swimming pool?
Oh, the old people. Oh.
Cocoon.
Cocoon, yeah. It's like that. You've got all your fucking like high-end stuff in, but you don't put a fucking padlock on the door.
Yeah.
It's like he's got a spaceship that doesn't like it doesn't hide. It's like not got like what you call it, camouflage or nothing. It's just sitting there for anybody to walk in, which obviously somebody does. It just annoyed me. It's like I feel like even a commando would have like I know I'm going to put a little bit of security around this. I'm going to lock it up, do a little bit of something. And also, why does it go back each day to check how much power is done when it knows it's like 28 days?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That computer seems pretty accurate, but there he's every day going, there's another 3%. It's like, fucking hell.
Is it nothing better to do, as we can tell by the rest of the film? There's nothing better to do. So I might as well go around. Make sure no one's tampered with it, I guess. I've got one final low point, which is the final battle with old Suitor, where he comes back into it. Having not died, like, did he really say how he didn't die? Like, he was on that ship.
He said something, there's plenty of, like, AirPods or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, bizarrely, oh, I'm not dead, I'm back to kill you. And then they just make speeches at each other about making speeches at each other and not shooting each other. Like, he has Shep Ramsey dead to he's right there. Just shoot. And then he starts shooting to the right, shooting to the like intentionally. I am not shooting you so that your an explosion timer thing can go down and kill. There was no defense over what the bad guy did there at all, and no reason for it.
I think he wanted to be proper evil. Okay, he didn't know about the timer. He could have shot Shep. Then the whole family would be like, oh no, look, we've killed Shep, run over. And he'd be like, right, fuck you, see you later. Bang, kills the family at the same time. That's pure evil. That's what the evil guy's supposed to be like.
It felt like his goal was to kill Shep Ramsey, and he decided not to for no reason when he got him to kill him.
It's a Batman Joker syndrome.
Exactly. Yeah.
They need each other.
And that's me for low points. Any others?
I've got one. So this film's called Suburban Commando. Yet the final scene is on a skyscraper in the middle of a city.
Yeah.
It kind of annoyed me.
I've never noticed that.
I feel like it should have been in suburbia and he takes off from suburbia.
Oh, that's only because that's where they landed on top of his work building.
Yeah.
That's his spaceship.
That's something I've got a question. I had that written down, I'm sure. So Undertaker and his pal arrive on a spaceship and they go looking for Shep Ramsey. And in the middle of all the sketches, they're in a just married car together at a drive-through and they don't get any food. They shoot the machine and drive off. And the next time we see them, they're landing their spaceship on the building that he's in. Like, why did they get the just married car? Where did they get it from? And
also,
why did they abandon it and not?
Can I just say this one was well ahead of its time? Key rights.
Exactly. I mean, the guy was like accepting of it at the drive-through as well. It wasn't making any questions about California in 1991. I don't know if it was legal or not to be married when you're gay there, but yeah, they had the car for one scene and then they had the spaceship back again, and then that's what he flew off in, wasn't it? It was their spaceship.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Is his spaceship still there? Like, or did they have his one?
Did not blow up.
Yeah, is that another thing that blew up?
His blew up. So yeah, they flew away in their one. But yeah, why did they abandon it? Why did they go back to it?
And also, why did he take a hooker back?
Yeah, well, she wasn't. But yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, is she just going around space with him now?
Like, yeah, she called him T as well.
Yeah,
I should call him Terry. Like, well, I'm not. She didn't call him Terry. She called him T.
T. Why would she call him T?
I'm sure she said, "Are you ready, T?"
Yeah, because it wasn't S and it wasn't R.
No.
See, space whore.
Everybody's name's confused.
Yep.
Yeah. Since you brought up that shit, like, this is where I'm getting Mandela affected because I genuinely thought the Undertaker bounty guy turned on Suitor and gave the ship to Shep for some reason.
All right.
I don't know why. I don't know. It would have been better for him, wouldn't it? But I've always had that in my head because that's why he spoke in a childish voice because he was like, I don't know, you're going to get Shep Ramsey and then the suitor fucks him over, so he gives him the ship and stuff.
I could see if that would maybe have happened. Yeah,
but I don't know why I've always had that in my head.
Well, he didn't.
No.
Is that us for low points then?
Yep.
Right.
Okay, on to point 4 on the podcast is stats. No shits, no F-bombs, very little swearing. I think Christopher Lloyd shouts you son of a bitch at one point, but there's not much in the way of swearing outside of that. Explosions, 41. Quite a lot of explosions. It's been a while. Deaths, 21, but that doesn't include, I've got question mark, everyone on the spaceship.
Star Destroyer.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I don't know how many would work on that. Maybe a couple of thousand.
On a Galactic Star Destroyer in Star Wars, you're looking at about 20,000. So
Right, okay.
I'd say maybe 5 to 10 on this one.
5 to 10. So we'll say maybe 10.
What was the Clerk's theory on that one? Was it just the style?
No, that was 250,000 on the Death Star.
That was the Death Star. That was a different kettle of fish. Yeah, so maybe 10,021. Yeah. Quotas: no cows, no goats. Dead animal. I thought the cat, but I think that was the same cat at the end after he
Got 9 lives would have landed his feet.
Exactly. I set you up for that one. No pedos, no devils, no KKKs, no Nazis. Tom Cruise trifecta. Hulk Hogan runs. He gets the girl. I can't believe there wasn't a motorbike. I was sure
It was
it
a skateboard.
Skateboard. There was a car. There was a spaceship.
Oh,
No
I had to
motorbike.
put any skateboarding things in the low points, by the way.
Anything involving the skateboard?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess so. Especially the flippy bit at the end. That was, apart from the jokes about the mum, I quite like them. But yeah, I'm with you. I didn't know what to count for this. I wasn't going to count suburbs or commandos.
I struggled. For
Right,
counting
so I
stuff
thought,
as well.
aha, Hulk Hoganisms. Hulk Hogan doing Hulk Hogan things. He didn't do any. Like,
Exactly.
He played it pretty straight.
Not even one brother.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
That's what I was waiting for. I was like, here we go. He's bound to say, right, brother, let's go. Not one.
Right. So
Fucking
yeah,
died.
no Hoganisms. And did they say the thing? Did they say Suburban Commando?
No.
I don't think he said either of those words.
Yeah, I got a fair point. I don't think he did. I think neither of those words came up. Yeah, so none. So Chris, any stats from you?
Yeah, Golden Oldie comes back. There was one nut shot.
There
Which
was.
turns a suitor into the big monster. That was it.
The nut shot to end all nut shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the difference that the suit makes, right? It does make it
Yep.
stronger. So yeah.
Turns into some Green Goblin.
Okay, on to point 5 on the podcast, the 10-point podcast quiz. Andy is the quiz master. Over to you,
Oh,
Andy.
Jesus.
Right, well, Chris always thinks I rigged this, so...
I'll
Right, Chris,
on.
do you want to go first or second?
go. I can't remember what I went last time. I'll go second.
Right, you're going to go second.
Just
So-
so, questions.
This one is called
But yeah.
Hulk Hogan.
Ah.
So it's all questions about Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
So question 1 for Bruce, since Chris doesn't want to go first, so Bruce gets the easy set.
Yay.
What is Hulk Hogan's full real name?
What's Terry Bollea? Do
And the
want his
middle part.
name? You need his middle name. Horace.
It's not Horace, so that's a cool middle name, that. Chris.
I don't know. Does he not go by like Terry Hogan Belair?
No, it's Terry Eugene Bollea.
Ah.
So no points there.
Chris,
Chris,
what age did he start going bald?
which Rocky film does Hulk Hogan appear in?
Rocky 3, isn't it?
Yes.
I thought I was getting easy questions. That's not fair.
I would have got that if you hadn't said it before.
Oh, really? Okay.
Bruce.
Mhm.
Which British comedy series does Hulk Hogan appear in 2012?
Is this a trick question? Because I saw some evidence on IMDb. British comedy. Now, my guess is the In-Betweeners.
It is the In-Betweeners.
But I think it's the American
What?
version of the In-Betweeners. And I think you've got your information wrong there.
It's fine, you still got it right.
I still got
Take
it
the
right.
point.
Because I thought, so, what is an In-Betweeners? And I looked at it, I was like, it looks like the American, like a different version. So yeah, In-Betweeners.
Take
Right,
it.
Okay, carry on.
I'm taking it.
This is where Chris is starting to get angry.
Yeah, because you fucked me over last week for something like that, but carry on.
Right, Chris, this is for 2 points. Right?
Okay.
You have to get both parts to even get a point. So it's 2 points or nothing.
Carry
You ready? Hulk Hogan voiced which character in a Saints Row game, and what was the Saints Row game?
It was Saints Row 2, and it was one of the red guys. I can't remember what he's called. Carry on.
No,
Bruce.
throw it over to Bruce.
Saints Row the Third.
Yes.
And he played Angel de la Muerte.
Yes. 2
Nice.
points to Bruce.
I got the wrong game, so I haven't played Saints Row 3. I don't think.
Stolen. Right. Bruce. Hulk Hogan appears as a janitor in a music video for a song called Everything to Me for which pop star?
Best guess be Cyndi Lauper, I guess.
Nope. Chris?
Mariah Carey.
Nope. It was Brooke Hogan.
Very good one. Very
I mean,
good.
class as a pop star.
Very good.
Chris, in which year did Muppets from Space come out in? Obviously stars Hulk Hogan as well.
Talked about 2001.
Nope. Bruce?
89.
Fucking hell, you're miles off. 1999.
I wasn't that far away. I was
What
2
is
years away.
Space? Is that when
Yeah,
that came out? Jeez, I thought it was
Muppets in
80s.
Space.
I do not remember that film coming out.
Right, who am I going with? It's
Me.
Bruce. Ralph J. Hurricane Spencer was a character in which franchise?
What?
I'm assuming involving Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
Ralph J. Hurricane Spencer.
Now that is an action hero name right there.
Yeah. The only franchise I know of Hogan being in would be Thunder in Paradise.
It is Thunder in Paradise. Chris, I'll give you an easy one since you're always kicking off.
I have to be 4-0, 4-1 up.
Eh?
Alright, carry on.
In which... Oh, right. It's an easy question. Which hit American TV series does Hulk Hogan appear along with Dwight Schultz and Dirk Benedict?
What?
In which hit TV series does Hulk Hogan?
The Office.
No.
Not Dwight Schrute. It's the A-Team.
It is the A-Team, yes. That was easy, Chris. That was easy.
Dirk Benedict is literally most famous for being in the A-Team, is he not?
Yep. Right. Bruce,
I don't know, Baby Baracus.
in which movie does Hulk Hogan appear as Rip?
Oh, that's No Holds Barred.
It is.
He did
Right,
that. Shut up,
Chris.
Bill.
Nice easy one for you. There's the last question. How many is he behind?
He's behind by
I'm like
5.
6-1. Oh, 5-1.
Right, Chris. If you get this right, I'll give you 6 points.
Ah, come on.
Right? 6 points, Chris.
Go on then.
In which pub did me and Chantel meet Hulk Hogan?
How the fuck would I know that?
That is worth 6 points. I'll give you that.
Oh, Witherspoons.
It wasn't Weatherspoons. I'm going to throw it over to Bruce.
I don't know. Harvester.
It wasn't a Harvester. It was Walkabout.
Walkabout. Oh, right.
It was Walkabout in central London. But I was,
What?
I was
Wait,
gonna
you've
do
never
Walkabout.
dropped that you've met Hulk Hogan before. Where's that coming from?
I've met Hulk Hogan many a time.
And he's met everybody. You're
Yeah.
not calling him by now. Hey, I dominated there.
Yes, you
with
did.
my having looked at Hulk Hogan's IMDb page today helped. I think.
To be fair, I was going to totally fucking screw over Chris by doing Hulk Hogan facts about wrestling. So I, like off the top of my head, which pay-per-view did Hulk Hogan famously body slam Andre the Giant?
WrestleMania 3.
Yeah.
Let's see, you would have got that. But yeah, I was going to do a whole bunch of stuff like that, like stadiums and WrestleManias, because I
Right,
know
okay.
Bruce knows them all.
I've got an encyclopedic knowledge of 80s and 90s wrestling, yeah.
So yeah, I was going to originally do that and decide to make it a general Hulk Hogan quiz.
And I haven't seen his IMDb page, I remembered everything. That Ep16 one got me though one day. It might be the British one, but I think it's an American version I've never heard of. I didn't know it existed. But it's still a fun quiz otherwise. Excuse me. On to point 6, movies within movies. Over to you, Chris, for the 10-point podcast universe.
Yeah, I kind of half-arsed this one because I forgot about it. But as far as I can tell, only Shelley Duvall
You are
is
wrong.
coming back. Oh, fuck.
So,
Who have I missed?
This is one of Shelley Duvall's 3 things that she's in, so we've got her. One that made me laugh. As punk number 2 in this film, Keith Campbell, he played pre-crime cop in Minority Report.
I think that far down. You keep telling me to avoid people that are...
Aye. But that's because I knew you were going to miss the big one. Christopher Lloyd. We've done him before. I realised this when I was doing the profile. Because I've written these films before. He played Murloc in DuckTales, the movie. he was the villain in DuckTales. So I knew you would miss it. As soon as I remember, oh my god, I've done him before.
I didn't even look at him.
Yeah.
Because he's like a voice or something, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, it was animated. So yeah. So there was only those 3. There's barely anyone in this.
Oh no, I forgot which DuckTales we did. I saw DuckTales. I couldn't remember which one it was we did.
DuckTales, the movie, The Treasure of the Lost Lamp, is what we did.
Ah, fuck, that was the one that popped up. I thought it was something else we did.
Funny that was the one that popped up.
Yeah.
Did you recast us though?
Yeah, again, I only did this about like half an hour before I started because I forgot about it. But I put myself as Knuckles and I put Andy as Hutch only because Knuckles says absolutely nothing and Hutch speaks.
Right.
For once, I don't think I'll make you the hero very often, so I put you as all Shep Ramsey.
Thank you very much. I went down. I thought that there were too many kind of important characters that didn't fit us, so I thought I'd like to see us just be the sketch characters in this. So Chris has got a cat, so he could be the cat up the tree person. It's like my cat. I'll be the boy in the arcade because I need to help with video games all the time. But I'd like to see Andy as the mime. I thought I'd like to see
Fucking hate mimes.
I thought you might, so that would work for that. Andy, have you done any recasting involving the film?
Well, I didn't really have to recast anybody because they pretty much remade this film with Triple H and called it The Chaperone.
Was it The Chaperone? I've never seen that one either.
Which pretty much, other than not coming from outer space, it is pretty much he's an ex-Marine that has to look after a suburban family's child.
So it's just Commando.
So it's pretty much just Commando. So yeah, I've seen this film with somebody else and it was Triple H.
Right. Very good. Okay, on to the sort of references and spoofs. I wasn't going to do it, but again, like Gremlins.
Fell in your lap.
I mean, straight away, it's Star Wars. Literally, it starts with Star Wars. Andy mentions Darth Vader later on as well, so it's Star Wars. They outright reference Alien at one point by saying aliens that have acid in them. He's basically RoboCop with that suit on. They mention Rambo, so First Blood. Cowabunga and the skateboard stuff is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They call them Barney and Fred, so it's the Flintstones. King Kong, Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra, they're all mentioned at various points. E.T. is mentioned. But my favourite one of his spaceman tools is literally the thing from Ghostbusters that checks out if there's ghosts there. Yeah, exactly. So I had to have that. So that's it. A whole bunch of things again. And I've noticed anytime I do this, Star Wars and Alien always come up. Every single film ever references Star Wars and Alien.
Do you know that is just like they didn't even modify that PK meter? It was just they found it on the movie lot, so they used it.
Oh, use this. It looks like it's from space.
Yeah.
Very good. Could this movie have come out in 1995? Yes, it could have done. Hogan was still making crappy action movies when he was in WCW in 1995 with different production companies and all that. But yes, this film could have come out then. Dead Man Walking. I thought Suter was a goner the minute I saw him, and then he was gone, and then he came back, and then he was gone again. So he was a double Dead Man Walking. Who is in the wrong movie? I propose Hulk Hogan's in the wrong movie. I think I'd like this better if it was just about Christopher Lloyd trying to man up in suburbia, and he was his own hero at the end of the day and try to beat his boss. All the space stuff makes it a different film altogether. But yeah, I think Hogan's in the wrong film.
Fun fact for all the fact fans, it was supposed to be Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
It feels
that
like
would have made it 10 times better.
This film would definitely work with a different guy as Shep. Like, I think Hogan kind of ruins it, really. And what happens next? I reckon, in the darkest timeline, Charlie now struggles to find a job after quitting because he's really dying out for an architect. And then his wife leaves him when she falls for one of the lodgers that rents the apartment that takes the kids.
Nice.
So that's the darkest.
Falls for Jack Torrance, and then they go on a wee holiday together.
Well, apparently we could still get a sequel because Hulk Hogan is up for doing a sequel.
I bet he is.
If somebody comes calling.
I bet he is, yeah. Okay, on to point 7. The tropes that need to die. Chris, this is your segment normally. Why don't you start us off?
I'm starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel, I think. I don't think it'd be so hard to find so many tropes. But the one that kind of got me here was... hold on. Okay. Get my green specs out. It's the asshole drivers who drive down the middle of the street and don't look at the middle, don't look where they're driving at all, and almost hit a kid. Like, it does happen in every movie, yes.
It does, yeah.
Like how they've gone so far without even looking at the road, they're like, oh shit, there's a kid there, I'll just slow down. Nope, we'll just plow on and nearly kill him.
It is the Hollywood staple of how to make someone seem heroic, is grabbing a kid out front of a moving car. It happens.
It happens in Edward Scissorhands, but the kid nearly gets fucking cut to pieces. And then there was something else as well. I'm sure it happens in... It's not another film we've done, is it? No, I can't remember now. But it happens.
I reckon it probably happens in the burbs.
I was thinking the burbs actually.
Yeah. Not as much through traffic in the burbs because it is a kind of an alcove. Hey, Andy, what's your trope that needs to die?
Pretty much big muscular men like kicking kids' ass, like when they're like being bullied or whatever. Yeah. Seems to happen all the time. Yeah. It's just like you're way overpowered. Like we get to you're going to defend this little poor kid or whatever, but Hulk Hogan goes to town in this one. Like he literally just like, right, you're a little bellend, you're a little bellend, take that, you little bellend. It's like, Jesus hell.
Have I missed? Have you watched a completely different film? When does he batter up a kid?
Oh, the paper boy, and then the
Right, okay.
He basically punks the little skateboarders and stuff like that, and technically launches that little girl at a tree, but still.
Yeah.
At least they caught her.
The trope I've gone for is I've made friends with an alien, so I'm going to spend all my nights helping them, and I won't tell anyone at all. That happens every time there's an alien in a film. It's always the one helpful human does it on their own. Keeps it a secret.
Because what I would do is I'd be calling up like Bezos or whatever and going, how much? I've got something you might want here.
Sell them out the second.
How much you going to pay me, mate?
Okay, point 8 is our nominations for the 10-Point Podcast Awards. The pointies come at the end of the season, so they'll probably be next year at this rate for this year's pointies. Chris, lead us off and we'll argue with you.
It's a bit of a slow one. I put Best Actress Christopher Lloyd.
Me too. Can't argue with that one. He's actually pretty good in this. Like he sells the film. Hogan tries to ruin it, but Christopher Lloyd kind of brings it back.
Is that first bit in the office where he's talking thing about? He's just like he's pissed off. He's just like he actually looks like he's pissed off for his life. He's got to kill somebody. So maybe it is true. I put my Best Badass Shep.
I left it blank, but yeah, I guess so. It's fine.
Yeah, I left quite a lot of blanks here. My biggest bell end was Charlie's boss.
Yeah, Mr. Belts. He was a good bell end. I enjoyed old Larry Miller, but yeah, he was also a bell end. He managed to talk all night to those Japanese guys. Just filibustering all night to try and buy Charlie time to come back to this meeting that I don't know if Charlie even intended to go to. It was a weird scenario that he found himself.
I was going to say
talking about Chinese, talking about Japanese cinema for like 8 hours through the night.
That's what I was going to say. Like, how long would you sit there with somebody's talking to you about different movies? Would you just like wait and be like, "I've had enough of this. I want to go"?
Bruce would be all over if it was all about Godzilla.
It was all about Godzilla.
Well, that's all it was. Yeah.
I mean, it would make me want to watch it. I'd be like, "Shut up and stop talking, so I can go watch the
film." My next one, my worst plan was Suitor just playing with Shep instead of actually just shooting him.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have that down, but you got, whatever he was intending to do at the
end. This is a shitty best twist, but Suitor's still alive.
No,
I thought it was a bad twist, but
I could think of a worse twist. Where am I? My worst special effects was any of the space scenes.
I think it was overruled for me by the electricity going through Suitor at the end, I think, because it again looked like someone just stuck a clip art on and kind of moved it around his body. Yeah.
I just stopped watching it at that point, I think. You've already mentioned that the Diana John Jules most unexpected is Elizabeth Moss.
Elizabeth Moss as the little girl with the cat up the tree. I did not spot it at all. It was a belter of an appearance. I'm assuming her first role in something because she's very young.
Must be.
Yeah.
My best fight was Hogan versus the Bounty Hunters. I'm generally think I'm getting a cold through this fucking headset.
It does sound like it, yeah, I agree. That was probably the best fight.
What am I? Fucking hell, there's a lot of blanks here. Best hair, Hogan's. It's iconic. It's also the worst hair.
I'm going to give you that.
It's an iconic look. He's also worst costume, I think. That costume is a bad costume.
That costume's pretty good, but like, I'll let you have it.
Vote on the costume if you want. If you think it's good or bad, Chris, you can.
Well, I've seen worse. It looks like Conan the Barbarian, so I like it.
Right. Okay. Get rid of that as worst costume, but definitely best hair. Just because it's so bad, it's kind of his look.
Yep.
The most obvious name is the club is called Landing Pad.
I never even noticed that.
I did not notice that. That's good. That's
amazing.
Good.
Yeah. My most annoying kid was the skateboarding kid. Who's like, my mum could do that better.
Yeah.
And that's me.
Okay, dokie. You not missed much of what I've got, to be honest, because there isn't a lot, like you say. Best supporting, I've gone for Larry Miller as the boss. I thought he was.
I was
going to go for Mark Calloway because he's pretty good.
Shirley Val was quite good, actually. Again,
she was actually pretty good.
She had hits and misses, but yeah, she was pretty good. And that's almost it. Worst acting, Hogan. I don't think you hit that, did you? Hogan's horrific.
Oh, I haven't put anything but like good acting.
Worst acting, Hulk Hogan. Worst set, take your pick.
I had the best set. I'm sure I did. I don't think I put it down. Carry on.
So you can't remember what it was.
My best set, I was playing with the landing pad.
Right, yeah, probably, yeah. Worst set, I'll say the spaceship at the beginning. This made me laugh so much. Done that one. Worst villain, I think Suitor. I don't know. It's like
it's not that bad.
Yeah,
shit.
He was a terrible villain. But the one that takes the cake for me of all the nominees, it'll be worst song in this case, so worst song, performance, or soundtrack. It's a nice place to live, but I wouldn't want to visit by J-Rock featuring Hulk Hogan.
It's amazing.
Sort of faux hip hop from the early 90s when the white man got a hold of hip hop and tried to do his own. With clips of Hulk Hogan going, but I wouldn't want to visit over
That's
the top
amazing.
of it. So bad. So that's bad. And I do have best product placement, Andy, but this is your particular category if you have one.
I'll see. I was a toss up between two because there's a scene where he's walking down the street, but the one that took my eye the most was Miller, like the lager. Closely followed by Coors.
For me, it was RC Cola in that scene because of the cola machine. He made it all the money in cans. Everyone had tomorrow. And RC Cola appeared in something later on. I was like, oh, there we go, double down on RC Cola for me. But
and Camel cigarettes as well.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, of course. Yeah. And I think that's it for nominations for me. Andy, have you got any others that you want to shout out? Okay. On 2.9, the moral of the story. What we thought the lesson we're supposed to learn from the film was. I'll go first. Never punch a man in the balls is the moral of the story here. Andy, what's yours?
Never help a little kid get their cat out of a tree.
Yep. And Chris?
Mine's is just don't let your spare room out.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. All of them.
Oh,
all three
quickly.
lessons.
That Charlie shot through a wall and blew up a car, and nobody mentions it again.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, and that gun never comes back. You think it'd be pretty handy to use that again at some point? But yeah, fair point. I did like that as a gun though.
It looked like a square hole. It's perfect.
It's so powerful. It'll just go through things that are there. But if you're explosive, it'll blow it up. I quite like that. Yeah. On to point 10, the 10-point rating where we rate the movie out of 10 points. Andy, you picked. You go first.
Well, this film was not aged well when you watch it as an adult. It's definitely a better video game than it is a film. It's a film that I could put on again. I'm not going to go out my way and watch it, but if it was on the background, I would just put it on. But yeah, it's pretty bad. So it gets a 3. 3
from Andy. Chris, I've got you next because you'd seen it.
A film, for lack of a better word, is shit. it's I remember watching this as a kid, and it was fucking great.
I think it's very much a kid's film.
Yeah, it's not aged well at all. The special effects are abysmal, and a lot of it most of it just doesn't make any sense. Like the whole thing of Shep playing Hogan playing a fish out of water was all right. A lot of it was quite funny, but it's scraping a 3.
Scraping a 3 from Chris. I'm just
nostalgia. That's what gets it for me.
I guess so. Yeah, it's not good, but I think it's almost good. So I'm not going to absolutely panic. There's enough about it that kept me interested. There's some films where I'm like, oh Christ, how have I still got an hour to go and all that sort of stuff. But it's okay. The first bit really, okay, I know what I'm in for here, but it gets better. And the funny bits are funny. I actually like a lot of the direction of it, not sort of thing you would this sort of film talking about. The bit where the guy robs the woman, takes the handbag and runs away around the corner, and you see his shadow running, and then you see his shadow kind of getting attacked by Hogan and coming back, and you find out what's that bits like that, little bits, the bit with the dog and the guy in the car and all that. So it's almost good, but it's not good. So for me, it actually gets a 3 as well. So we've all voted exactly the same score. I mean, the official rating was definitely a 3 out of 10.
I would say it's like a poor man's Highlander.
Yeah, but I don't know something about Highlander. I think I've rated Highlander about the same, but it stuck with me. And I
did you? I thought you rated it 5 or 6.
Maybe I did. I feel like I hated
Highlander,
but I maybe enjoyed, but didn't think it was very good. But then it lived with me, and now Highlander, I can't stop thinking about it at all times. But you're right, it's very Highlander, but like a kids movie version.
Yeah.
And also felt like a lot shorter than Highlander. So yeah, 3 out of 10. I think that's very fair since we all scored at that. Andy's theme. Are you sure it's not It Came From Outer Space? Are you sure? For the 4th episode, I'm going to guess It Came From Outer Space.
It's a quinky thing, but it's not my theme.
I can't remember what other ones you picked now.
Because even Gremlins, I'm sure they came from outer space as well. I don't know. Yeah, because you had this. You had
Slither.
Evolution.
Yeah,
Evolution,
Slither.
Slither.
Prey.
And Prey. And then, is that it? Is that
Gremlins fits in. There's loads of other ones that fit in as well.
Must be one was the odd one out. Space, but yeah, I just again came from outer space. All of your films start with a thing doing this to the planet Earth.
It very much does. Not the intention,
right? So that's not the theme. I don't have any other guesses.
This is a stumper,
it is. So you said there's 8 films this season fit it or something, isn't it?
Yeah. It's been way more than I thought there should have been fit in this theme, but yeah. Quite a lot of
Costumes?
No costumes, no.
Because you got one.
If you want a hint, the very first film that I did, Chris half said the theme and then stopped himself.
Or Blade?
No.
Yeah, was it?
Prey? Start with
on Prey,
I got you.
when Chris went to guess my theme, he said
started it, right.
he said the
So I have to
first
go back
part
and
of the
watch
words,
Prey,
and then stopped himself. Went, no, it's not that. Which it was that bang on. If he just finished it, I'd have been, yep, you got my theme.
Is it Predators?
also not intentionally, but so yeah, you'll definitely get in the last one. You've got to.
Oh, we'll have to go back and watch Prey. I won't get it before Bruce.
You'll get it before me, because if his last film involves something coming from space landing on Earth, then I'm guessing it again. Right, okay, on to next time. Speaking of themes, it's the theme of The Wheel of Sean. For the time being, it's his last pick of the season and for the foreseeable future from Sean.
I know, I forgot how to do it.
The rest of his picks will go onto the wheel with everybody else's, and they'll come up when they do. But specifically, one of Sean's picks, he's given us Old School. He's given us The Shining in the past. So
Last shout out for Sean for letting me borrow his laptop because I've finally got my new one coming.
yeah, ready pick.
Right, are we ready to spin?
We're ready to spin, and we can
Go.
see it. Spin away, Andy.
Let's spin it.
And let's see what we get. What's Sean's
Starting to slow.
Please, a
Some
Tarantino.
picks are still there, so we'll respin if it lands on them.
Oh,
Slowing down. Looks like it's going to be a new one.
Oh,
is it? It is.
Oh, no, it's not. Oh, it is.
It's Dumb and Dumber.
Dumber. Jim
I thought it was
Carrey.
knocked
back.
up. It'd have been perfect.
Fucking Jim Carrey season, this, isn't it?
Yeah, where Jim Carrey pops up quite regularly on the old podcast as Jim.
It's because Chris loves Jim Carrey.
I do. But he's not been in it this season.
Not this.
He has now.
Well, yeah.
Done a couple of him before. Him and Jeff Daniels. He's the other.
Yep, not done Jeff Daniels before.
I don't know if he's done more
Absolute
Dumber.
banger.
From the mid-90s, the infamous, no, legendary Jim Carrey run of having the most successful film every 6 months for a while.
Done by loads of them were in the Farrelly brothers, weren't they?
Yeah, that's it. So you go, Dumb and Dumber. You all have 7 days. Find Dumb and Dumber, give it a watch, and we'll see you next time on the 10 Point Podcast.